Hey Linda, fun. Okay, this is good. So I'm guessing that you haven't actually gotten your package, your delivery package of your new tools yet, um, because when you do, we are going to adjust the placement of your camera. You're going to find a nice composition in the room, and the interesting thing is that I'll just call attention to this now so you are thinking of it when you start to search. When you place yourself at the forefront of a giant of a giant non non-square space, you have these cantilevered angles that we can see behind you. It becomes an interesting thing of this vacuum suck that is out into the void behind you. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to place you where you need to be. And I look forward to you getting those things because I think it'll really help. It'll put the camera lens right where you need it to be. So now let's talk about these videos that you sent. The first one, you have some very these horses have wonderful meaning and significance in your life. Plus, Icky has a great name, and you were talking about the passion, and that's very good. And there's a lot to be said for that. So there's some interesting content there, and you're actually going to work on that one again. Actually, I think you'll do both of them again. So I want to get back to video 1 about the horses because I want to go to video 2 about vitamin D. Did you notice that as you continued to harp on the vitamin D, that eventually you started to find it kind of humorous in your own way? You were repeating and repeating, and eventually it started to become kind of monotonously funny that you're hammering this phrase home time and again, over and over. And there's something very comical about that, and you can't find that until you have gotten there. So I'm gonna ask you to increase the absurdity of the vitamin D one. And I'll talk about this in just a moment. But that's what we're going to do with that one. The absurdity. Okay? Now I'm going to talk about another thing in there. When you start to get a little bit absurd, you reach a point in the delivery of the thing where everything else before it was unnecessary. And then you start with that energy and that odd delivery. It's as if you could, let's say you take a piece, okay? You take a chunk of something that here's your video. It's this length. And you've gone through until you finally get to the crazy weird stuff. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove everything in front of that, and we're going to say, you start there. And then that's the beginning, and I don't know where it goes from there, but there's the piece. You start with the energy of the absurdity of the repetition and the energy that you had toward the end of that vitamin D thing, and you go from there. James Wan is a filmmaker, and he created the movies Saw, these horror flicks, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 21 and a half. I saw you around the corner the other day. And his method that he discovered was, I don't start by setting an environment. I start inside a place, and then I cut in, and I cut in, and I cut in, and I cut in, and you're going deeper and deeper into a world, and you don't even know where it started. And there is something interesting in that claustrophobic situation of his movies where he does start that way, and that creates some automatic chaos. And I'm mentioning that to you because there's something about starting toward the end where it started to ramp itself up into the absurdity of the vitamin D, where you can go, and I don't know where you're going to go with that, okay? But I want you to play with it because it's a way to highlight an extreme and examine what that means. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the horse video. It may be that you can become more succinct at getting to the interesting points about your horses. And I think that there's something interesting in the names, and if you introduce them 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, right at the beginning, and you can comment on, icky, I know. So we start to have this understanding of who you are and who these horses are, and then you can have introduced them as in an outline introduction, like in like in third grade when you're learning how to write an outline for a paper, and you have that introduction, and then you go into horse 1, horse 2, then horse 3, and etc. And then you have a conclusion. There might be something in there. And the reason I'm going back into these two videos is because you touched on something and it's valuable, and I want you to explore some elements that are essential in each of these, and in so doing you will actually investigate what it means to structure the little talk about each of these. This feels a little long-winded, like it's going on, but I'm not sure it is. I feel as if I'm just talking about the important elements and relating them to you here. Okay? It's good. It's 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 a good start. And I enjoyed those two topics, and I think that you can make the vitamin B more thoughtfully, scientifically insistent to your person who you're talking to. And that brings up the last point. Who are you talking to? I think you were talking to me in this one. However, now you are going to be more specific about a client. Is it always Paul? I mean, why should it be Paul? So let's figure out who you're talking to, and you're going to actually pinpoint who wants to hear this and why. Why is it so important? Maybe the horse thing is with like your best friend who truly understands, but man, are you jonesing for this stuff and you're just catching up. Maybe the second one is a person like you 5 years ago who desperately needs to learn about vitamin B because, for God fucking sakes, get your test. Okay? It's this innocuous thing, and if you get it, it can save you. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Okay. Now this is long. So now I'm going to cut that off. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Look forward to the next ones. Good job. Well done. Delighted you sent them to me on WeTransfer, and WeTransfer again until you get the hang of the YouTube for whatever reason. Let me know why you didn't get the hang of the YouTube. And do you have a free account in Vimeo.com? Are you familiar with this? Vimeo.com? That's another one. It's another video. Vimeo and YouTube. And Vimeo is free also, and you can also try that and see if it uploads correctly there. We're on our way. We have begun. The plot thickens.